They can very much leave this open because the TA can be a 1, like a 2-1, a 1.2, if that makes sense, like a carry from the mid lane, or it can be a 2. So by picking the carry last, they're really keeping it very open in terms of what they're going to be doing with this.
I think Alvaro's right about that. They do got a pretty wide hero pool here, but I think it's got more to do with the fact that we are kind of running out of offlaners that have like really, really big team fight. Because you look at Hoodwink, TA, Shadow Demon, they're great for single target. A little bit of save as well, but of course with Alina, you're also setting yourself up for some trouble there. We need this offlaner to bring team fight. Like if we had like a Tide and then a Centaur ban or something like that, Navi would have been very, very restricted in their last pick in terms of what kind of utility that this offlaner would be able to bring in a team fight. So I think that's got something to do with it. The Tide, by the way, is an enabler for the Terrorblade, so maybe that could still be a very viable pick here for Navi. That is what I wanted to add on to as well.
Empire banning out those tanky or team fight cores with the Nakes and the Void with Chrono and general tankiness going out, whereas Navi ban out that Razor, which is a very obvious TA counter. So coming into our last picks here, Navi will be revealing the overall strategy of their draft, and Empire, I guess, will be complementing that with a mid, I should imagine.
If you want to match their... Sorry.
Have you got any predictions for this last pick? Snap ones to make you look super smart.
I was going to say, if you want to match the... I still like the TB here. I think it's fine, but of course it might be a bit too greedy. If you want to play a bit more tempo and it's also match Luna, I think Gyrocopter's always in the pool, but one of the VTune classics as well. Looks pretty solid here. Always looks solid. You're never too sad to see the Gyrocopter. But against Mars, the thoughts I was having is actually Juggernaut or Lifestealer. I'm just not that big a fan of the Juggernaut. That's why I think the Lifestealer ban was really solid by Empire.
Yeah. I reckon they wanted that Void, which is why they're taking a little while here. That would be my estimation.
Yeah, a range carry seems nice to have. Yeah, they're going to go with the gyro, but we've seen this play out before with like a range carry into a Mars. If you can put these arena down in the right places to protect your Luna, to protect your Lina, you're going to have a lot of trouble making effective use of flat cannons. So the arena is going to be absolutely huge, not only, of course, in the early game for the solo kill potential you bring, but also into the mid and late game team fights where even though you're magic immune and you can walk through the arena walls, your projectiles can't. And that's a really big problem for gyro.
Huge problem. Problem for... I think lunar glaives go outside of it, don't they? Am I correct in saying?
Yeah, they do. Yes, those will bounce through the walls of the arena. Yeah.
In one of Dota's most wonderful exceptions. All range heroes apart from A, B, and C. Empire last pick, we're looking for a mid hero here, unless they are going to pick up another 4, which seems unlikely. I would expect something along the lines of...
The problems they have here as Empire is that you don't have picks. The TA counters are not picks that the press kit picks up. Like you have the Vendo and Batrider still in the pool. Those would actually be 2 really good picks. And the press kit doesn't play him. Ember Spirit is actually a good suggestion to deal with that. But
it's a classic. He's going back to the mid lane Wyvern. This is
that's mid lane Lina. That's mid lane.
Is it? You think it's a
yeah? They picked it up as a 4.
Yeah, it is
press kit on the Lina. You were too excited for people love a support.
I did. I was thinking of 9. I was thinking of 9 that gave us the mid lane Wyvern during the ESL event. So the mid lane Lina, this is not that bad of a matchup for the TA though. The early levels kind of suck, but I feel like once you get refraction charges up, you're pretty good to go as far as the mid lane goes. And you just farm and Lina just farms, and that's about that until one of the supports look to rotate.
I do think the Wyvern's a really good pick here against the burst of the TA and the Hoodwink. So I'm happy with that. I think I like this Empire draft is what I'm saying. I think the sacrifice of the Lina not being incredible against the TA is worth what the Wyvern brings. But do you guys agree? Who do you have for this match?
I like Empire's draft too. I think I'm a bit puzzled by the last 2 picks on Tide Gyrocopter. Like they're good picks. If you look at their draft, it's like, okay, you bring team fight, okay, you can match tempo, but also considering Empire's draft, I see a lot of ways to deal with them. So it's not like the lane for Tide is not that easy against a Luna. The gyrocopter sometimes struggles against this amount of burst damage as well. Mars can actually really crush a gyrocopter. So I'm actually siding with Team Empire's draft. And even I think Lena's kind of free, to be honest. Besides the TA matchup, like Hoodwink either catches you or there's nothing. They don't have anything that can cut the backlines and get to the Lena easily. So yeah, I like Empire's draft a lot, actually.
Richie, do you agree, or are you going to set out your stall in opposition to us?
As much as I would love to be the voice of opposition here, I don't think I can in good conscience. I think this last pick Wyvern does put a bit of a pickle here into Navi's lineup, mostly because Arctic Burn is going to go through Refraction, even if the damage isn't, and that's a problem for TA. As Avo said, we can't cut these backlines very easily. That means we don't hunt a Wyvern, we don't hunt a Lina, and these two, if they're going to be able to cast their spells freely in team fights, is a bit of a problem.
Okay, well, will Team Empire take this game 1, or will the Morning Boys be proved to be a confederacy of dunces? I will hand over to Avo and Richie to take us through this game.
Thank you, Dan. The only defense I have for myself is that while I am wearing a cap, it is not a dunce cap. I am merely the fool in my own personality and with my takes. Thank you very much. As Avo, confused as ever. So we get underway with our first game already. It's popping off already here, Avo. Patushara, his smoke will break, and he's actually not going to want to go any further here after he scouts Vitun in the river.
They give you a mouse.
Well, was it, you see, Alvaro, there's something called segues into games where usually you'll take something that someone just referenced. You know, I know you don't do a lot of host-in, so it's something that's you might not be too used to. But well, here goes Petushara. He's gonna find that Navi's hosting him a nice little welcome party with plenty of stuns. Rocket Barrage and the Lucent Beam is going to keep him at bay. And he's going to struggle to really make use of that level 1. Well, he's not put level 1 into anything. And most likely would like to save a skill point for God's Rebuke to make sure he can secure the first couple of range creeps. But, if an opportunity would present itself for a kill, he'd definitely take that point in the spear.
One thing I absolutely love about watching Eastern European games is that for the first runes, it seems like it's fight first and then consider if this fight's a good idea. Like, they both went into that triangle. They both thought, oh, we're strong at level 1, and then they both decided, no, we're not strong at level 1 at the same time. How is that possible, right? The choices they make are not always thought out, and, I mean, beforehand, right? And that's awesome. They are such adaptable teams, both of them. I think, in general, in the Eastern European region, they do this a lot. And, I mean, we saw this in the lower division, where you see the two teams fight level 1, and then one team was clearly outclassing the other, and you'd be like, maybe Team B shouldn't have gone in there, but they did. So, yeah, wonders of this region.
I think a lot of that comes down to what do they have level 1? What does this Mars have level 1? Because that's a really big problem. What did Tide hit? Does he have Gush? Does he have Anchor Smash? Abba's got Shield. There's all these comms coming out because all that really does make a difference. Whether or not you have Spear, whether or not you can combo with a stun, and I think the safer play for both teams was to just back up there. It is going to end in a net win though for NaVi, who find themselves 3 runes to the 1 of Team Empire. But other than that, no first blood. So just a couple of extra range creeps. Basically, 1 extra range creep for everyone here on the side of NaVi with that bounty bonus gold.
Yep. So the lines end up going. I mean, I agree with your assessment early where the Lina or the TA, it's just not that bad a matchup for either, honestly. I do feel like people often consider Lina weak against TA because you just counter all her spells, but she has enough attack speed these days to be able to deal with you, right? And you just break the refraction charges with your auto attacks, and you're good to go. The last hitting might benefit TA ever so slightly, but Lina recovers in the jungle a bit faster, so, at least in the early levels. So, yeah, it's a pretty even matchup. Nothing too big on both sides. Bottom lane is where Tide, I was expecting him to lose the lane, and in fact it's happening as Ramses will lose that first blood.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, especially because the Lina buffs. I mean, this is a reason we're seeing Lina so much generally, even mid or position 4. The buffs to Fiery Soul, the buffs indirectly helping her in the mid lane as well, just with more runes, more regen, really amping her laning presence by quite a bit.
The bottom lane, I do feel like the NaVi lane will have to find ways to control this wave, exactly, just like this, you know, pulling off pulls, making sure the waves connect, and perhaps even you might want Roger at one point to leave the lane and start getting stacks for the Tide, because if they're going to fight head-on, Abaddon usually pretty good against Tide, the Luna does some very similar things, and Roger at best can only get a bushwhack to try to save him. Ramses wants to play this aggressively, but the moment you miss that anchor smash, you just kind of lost that. However, Empire's lane control has not been too great just yet, and the lane has been pretty much kept in that position for a while, giving Ramses a much unneeded, really, advantage in this lane. And Vincere, again, with a little bushwhack, Smart Knight will... he's just going to protect the support for a while. They managed to get the creep wave back in position, as they want to make sure they can also put some harassment here for Ramses. However, the two creeps are starting to stack. In the top lane, V2 wanted to get a kill against Petushara. Petushara even seen the opportunity to harass V2 for free. Lack of mana, however, impedes him from going further for this kill.
Impedes, what a word, what a word. I like it, I like it. I was just taking a couple of moments to reflect on how we would not really be able to get these kills onto our Lina, onto our Luna even, and definitely onto the Wyvern. I mean, not only do we have an ABBA to back these guys up, to get rid of a stun, to make sure you're not going to be too scared of this homing missile that is going to be a source of long-range catch. The one benefit I'd say Navi have is good move speed, right? Gyro's pretty fast as a core. TA, of course, very mobile with the Blink Dagger, but we have Petushara who can just kind of put them out of position with a spear defensively or aggressively. And to me, that again, is only going to exist to exacerbate this issue of how do we get on top of this Lina?
Yeah, that's going to be Navi's biggest prerogative this game. How do you kill the Lina early? How do you kill the Wyvern as well? So Naiko actually in the top lane might just die. Oh, nice, avoiding the Splinter Blast there. And you have no follow-up with the Shire once again out of mana. The issue that's been plaguing in this whole lane. So yeah, I mean, you have to kill the Wyvern first if the TA is your solution, right? Because otherwise the Cold Embrace will save the Lina. Maybe you force the Cold Embrace, then you just bunch up around him. That's also an idea, but I feel like at that point you're really adding too many layers on top of this cake. It's too complex here for Navi. But with that said, if they could just avoid Lina's damage by getting a good BKB activation on Gyro, take advantage of your clearly superior teamfight with the Ravage, you can also just kind of ignore the Lina for a bit and then kill her in the middle of the fight when she's trying to really dish out the damage.
I don't know if you could do that. If you could refresh my memory, you know, still booting up in the morning, but did they pick the Tide Hunter into the ABBA, or was it the ABBA into the Tide?
Well, now you made me doubt it.
Okay, because I agree. The teamfight is looking really good for Navi, but of course Vincere, if he's in a Ravage, can just pop his ulti and then immediately save one of his cores, and that's a problem. Like, obviously, right? Like it's something that we've seen time and time again. This combo of ABBA into the Tide is not only good in the lane, it allows you to be aggressive with Curse of Avernus, but it also allows you to just stand up front. You're not afraid of tanking a Ravage because you have your ulti to save you, and then if you're next to a core, you can save them immediately as well.
Yep. As a real human, I only thought of emotions and I immediately thought this is not a great Tide pick, so I was unaware if that was because of the Abaddon or because of the Luna, to be honest, in the moment.
Yeah.
I
mean,
honestly
both
feel like
true.
Right? The guy is not in the best of positions here. At least he does bring up better teamfight than Mars, so there's that to the table. Vincere suffering a bit against the Squall. Roger with a double damage, but in comes the Preskid, says, oh, get away from my support. So Nico will have to commit suicide. Laguna Blade, so Roger will lose his life there. He thought, oh, he missed a stun. How is he to kill me now? Well, Laguna Blade to the face.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the rotations away from the bottom lane aren't really going to help Ramses too much. It at least does allow him to secure a couple of creep, 33 and 10, but he's unable to do too much to impede the farm of Smiley Knight, who actually is struggling quite a bit. 26 and 6 compared to the 34 and 10. I think this is just, you know, the skill of Ramses. As here he goes, there's going to be the Curse of Avernus proccing. A couple extra auto attacks coming through, but 2 points in Kraken Shell means that basically he's just being tickled here. So it's not too much damage.
I want to give credit to Ramses, but honestly, it's also a bit of an issue for Empire. The control of the lane in the early game was much superior by Navi, both from Roger and Navi and Ramses. They constantly connected waves. They used the pulls more effectively. Abaddon really couldn't match them. And I mean, partially it's because Hoodwink is a bit faster than Abaddon, so that gives you an easier time pulling. Oh, Soneko dies in the top lane. But partially it was also them not doing enough to control that lane. Petushara could be dying here to Rocket Barrage, so you trying to divide the damage. Petushara still has mana this time. Spear in 3 seconds. V2, on the other hand, he's the one who's suffering. But Petushara doesn't want to go back in just yet. V2, okay. Rocket Barrage, that was not the spear you were hoping for, as you had to use it defensively. Probably looking for the stun there, and V2 will be perfectly fine to continue farming.
Vanscore is being chased away by no one looking for this kill, doesn't have another trap for 3 more seconds, and even with boots, unable to catch up there with our Dark Horse. He will ride away, but he was at least able to force a couple of D wards in the triangle. We can still see there's a pretty large stack now accumulating. It's double stacked, or there's 3 camps here in the Ancients ready to be farmed by no one. So that's going to be a good amount of gold injection here. He's still not yet queued up his first item. I suspect this game he might just go Dragonlance Blink Dagger here for the TA.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate as well. I mean, you could go even... I know you could go full greed here, but I think the early Dragonlance already helps your farming a bit, so why not, right? There's no need for you to go for the Desolator as quickly. You have a good draft, though, to set up for the old TA, Blink Dagger Desolator. Your timing is not going to be very interrupted, I can't imagine. I mean, if I'm the Empire draft, I'm probably waiting until my first big item on Mars before I start ganking, and that's going to take a while still. I think it should be the Blink Dagger as well. Yule Scepter is nice, but there's not much use for it this game. Soneko, okay. Once again, Disruption annoying them. They do have a spear though, and that was a perfect spear actually. Really well calculated, but Soneko's not going to take too much of the arena damage. Doesn't seem to matter though, as he's been body blocked, slowed, and now pierced through the heart.
Vanscore's in trouble. Ramsey's looking to close the gap. Ramsey's still holding onto that skill point. Doesn't need Ravage, of course, here to kill a level 3 Abba, as no one, especially with the Melt Strike, will very easily cut through him. So far, the attempts to slow down the TA's farm have only given her an extra last hit here onto the hero. That's slightly concerning, and I agree. I agree with, by the way, the Blink Dagger choice here for Petushara. Yule's seems unnecessary, especially because if you have Soneko nearby with Disruption, I mean, we saw why Disruption can be a little bit of sometimes a bait, right? Much like Cold Embrace this game into the magic damage of a Sharpshooter or just a Gyrocopter, Disruption, it can set you up and will set you up for things like an LSA and a Spear.
No, that's true. So defensively, it's not a complete save, but if you actually time it properly, they can also save you from the Spear and the LSA, right? So there's that.
Sure.
I think the Abandon, though, I mean, the combo of Save of Empire is much stronger, but as a result, you're also lacking in catch, at least in your supports, right? So the catch becomes completely reinforced. They're going to kill Petushara easily in the top lane with a Sharpshooter. Well done there by Roger and V-Tune. Not much he could do, really, once he got caught by the Disruption.
Ramsey's already up to level 8. He's got a full Hooded Defiance. Going straight into the Blink Dagger here. So it looks like NaVi are going to be looking to fight a bit earlier on, just trying to press their superior team fight. That is going to be a big advantage for them in the early game. But again, part of me, I do want to really underscore how important this app's positioning is going to be, how important it is that he does get levels to get up to level 6 to make sure he can save his cores when Ramses is going to start eventually ravaging in these fights. It is the Dragonlance first for no one. Next into the Blink Dagger.
Oh, like I said, it's the most appropriate build. I feel like at this point you're a fool if you don't go Dragonlance first on TA. It just seems like it does so much. Like, for example, that Y, you know, side blades, the attack range getting added to the side blade spill is kind of insane. But Tushara, okay, he does spear the Tide Hunter, but there's no way you're killing this Tide.
Yeah, the smoke coming around too.
Available. Yeah, they want to fight this for sure. They know the Ravage. They can force this either tower or fight. There's no need for Ramses to go that far in, as they just want to take the structures here.
Mm-hmm. We have a Winter's Curse, though, from Seiyu, but he's already used Arctic Burn. I don't know if that was scouted or not by NaVi. So perhaps they're afraid of the Winter's Curse, which I think is very fair, because even at an early level for a short duration, we've got a lot of heavy hitters here on the side of NaVi. Vanscore finally up to level 6, immediately takes the point in Curse, but unfortunately he's still had a couple of trap damage lingering on him, so that'll get procced immediately.
Okay, 2K lead for NaVi for now though, so this lane's went honestly pretty well for them. I feel like they're starting to reach their item timings now, and Empire hasn't been able to utilize this Mars, unfortunately. I think is one of the issues they're starting to have here. Tide had much better lane than he had any right to because of really, really clever lane skipping, unless these things come into play. So Ramses is online, whereas Petushara still struggling to find that Blink Dagger. And hell, when Ramses gets the Blink Dagger, himself, you actually swap the playstyle of the Tide.
Yep.
And instead of being a counter initiator, you start going for kills.
Free kill into Seiyu. That's just the strength of the Acorn Shot Bushwhack. Smoke gank here from Empires. They're looking for a kill top lane. Suneko and Vitoon currently both located here. Vitoon, by the way, check out what he's going for. Looking for this early Diffusal Blade, so he wants to get online. All of Na'Vi, in fact, are looking to try and avoid this late game by the most part. Suneko is going to be sniffed out in the trees, though, pinned to the tree and killed off. He is going to fall. They actually cancel the TP out from Ramses as he's going to continue pushing bottom. Vitoon, in the meantime, is just going to TP away, and it's just the kill onto the support, and most likely a tier 1 traded for Empire.
I wouldn't say they're trying to avoid the late game necessarily, but they're just trying to push the mid game, because that's where the biggest advantage comes from with a TA and a gyrocopter, right? Your power, you have an explosive lineup around the 25-minute mark where they're both strongest, really, and there's not much need for you to, like, sure, take this late game. I think you're fine if this goes late game, but if you can finish it mid game, why not, right? There's no need for you to itemize for the late game. There's no fear of Empire having this insane high ground defense. It's just kind of decent. There's no fear of them being too strong in the mid game for you to having to take this late and be defensive. Now they can just continue to push their advantage. That's why I like this. These are the proper builds, I think, for this game. And we'll see once the TA comes online completely.
That's a fair point, but I think Curse for them becomes very problematic. I don't think you're like as scared as the Lina, the Mars, or even the Luna into the late game for sure if you're sieging high ground, but the Curse is still like a really big problem. And unfortunately, even with farm, that's not one that gets too much easier for you as the press kid. Oh, and speaking of a Curse, there it is to counter initiate onto Ramses. They're going to hold down Vitoon. It's actually Petushara going in, and there's the kill onto Vitoon. Ramses holding onto the Ravage, has the Soul Ring if he needs the mana and wants to pop it. May look to go for it now. There's the Soul Ring, holding on to it, holding on, still not popping it yet. Might still have the opportunity, but Roger is getting exploded here on the back lines. There's finally the Ravage. It will be able to find the Abba. The Petushara immediately pinning Ramses to the trees. Not going to be able to go any further. In fact, now Suneko in trouble. Drops the Demonic Purge onto the Lina. Will slow her down, but Luna still able to catch up and find the kill there with that last little Lucent Beam. Is going to make this a 1-for-3 trade in favor of Empire, and in fact, they're looking for the tier 1 now.
That's a very good fight. Ramses, though, coming back in. Petushara is like, what? You trying to hit my Smiling Knight? But there's a trap, though, there to slow him even further. In fact, no, I want to kill Petushara. Petushara trying to protect the Smiling Knight with an defensive Eclipse. And for now, he will survive thanks to it. Once they go up to the high ground, it's a bit scary to go up there with the Eclipse still on. Finally done, though, and Na'Vi will retreat, only getting the kill on Petushara. Still a good fight overall for Empire. Of course, that maybe a bit of an overextension or a good read by Na'Vi, and acknowledging they could get a free kill off that. Very good trap setting as well. I really like that Lina in the Winter's Curse. She did two great... Honestly, Depressed Kid was my MVP of that fight because she did two great things. First of all, she saw the Sharpshooter and didn't try to go for the 3-man Light Strike Array. Oh, wombo combo. No, I'm just going to hit the gyro. I know he has to die. We're not going to concern ourselves with the Tide because it's just too hard to hit those three at the same time. Fair enough. Sometimes going easy is the way to go. And then in the fight, what he chose to do was actually chase down the supports, particularly the Hoodwink, which made it impossible for Na'Vi to recover in that fight, because like I said, your stuns or your catch, it's mostly in your supports. At least the reliable ones, bar Ravage. So you couldn't really use the Bushwhack. Lina just actually murdered her, and that was a really good play.
So we have a disruption coming. It's going to save him, but they've got out all the spell damage here already. He's going to only be set up now for another LSA. Stick charges. We're going to keep him alive a bit longer. Vitoon still fighting here, still alive, but the last auto attack out from Depressed Kid will put him down. We didn't catch him with the Anchor Smash. Not that I think it would have made too big of a difference, if I'm being honest. So Depressed Kid is going to be able to zoom away here with all of his move speed, BOTs, and level 3 Fiery Soul will do that, but it still is going to be an off-lane trade yet again for the Gyrocopter.
Yeah. Well done here by Na'Vi. I think that Gyrocopter Diffusal Blade helped him out a lot to be able to get that little kill. Top lane, we're seeing Suneko, sorry, not Suneko, Vanscore just saying hi to Roger, apparently. Okay. And it's bottom where they're going to go for another gank. Yet again on the Shadow Demon. Not as strong as Vitoon, though, so Suneko will have to die here. Nice disruption, but only to give him more time before he dies. A Diffusal Blade helps Na'Vi be offensive, doesn't give any defensive capability to the Gyrocopter though, so at best you can only muster a kill there, and that's why Empire is starting to hunt them down here. Prevent them from being the ones leading the charges and controlling the tempo of the game.
I think Vanscore might be considering a Soul Ring. I think something I didn't consider was the fact that Abba is a pretty mana-intensive hero if you want to be spamming these Aphotic Shields and miscoils and fights. Hold that thought, because Roshan is being absolutely murdered 17 minutes in, and that's when no one decides Roshan must die. Couple of stacks of the meld, even up to 3 here with the Arcane Rune reducing the cooldown, means they absolutely blow through Roshan at a very quickening pace, especially thanks to the Deso already online here for no one after the blink.
Vincere, oh no, the trap. He dispels it immediately, and he will survive this, even if wasting an ultimate. So on the Soul Ring side, I don't love Soul Ring on Abba because it doesn't give you back HP when you're cursed. So it feels a bit weak, not gonna lie. You already are having HP problems too. I think a Holy Locket would be a better idea. Yes, more expensive, so we'll see. Depends on how well the like how much you feel like you need the mana. But the Holy Locket fulfills a very similar role because it gives you charges, right? So you're perpetually at 20 charges, and you just get it back up whenever you need to cast an important spell. Hell, even Mango sometimes is a good idea. Like the 2 gauntlets are great for the lane, and you can deviate that into a Soul Ring. But for Abba, each item is crucial, right? You get to pick up maybe 2, 3 items in the game. You don't have a great farming ability as a support, so you're a bit limited in that regard.
That's a good point. We'll see how he decides to build it. They're looking to collapse on Vitoon, though. This is the man without the Aegis. Looking for a BKB as he's going to be able to use this move. So we know he's not actually. Petashara with the Blink Dagger coming in, cutting him off in the river. LSA, Lucent Beam is ready to go, but there's the counter initiation now. Okay, Eclipse, though, onto the TA. The Bottled Illusion Rune, though, is going to do a lot of work absorbing these beams as Petashara is going to be isolated and picked off. There's a Winter's Curse to try and counter initiate. LSA will catch TA, but Depressed Kid needs to be on the run now because Ramsey's looking to close the gap with the Blink Ravage still available. There's another Curse or Borrowed Time triggered, and that is another kill here in favor of NaVi as they catch Empire looking for a fortuitous kill onto Vitoon and will be punished.
Yeah. So good punishing by NaVi. Still really solid counter initiation on them. They didn't have to even use the Ravage there. So you have to be a bit wary of that on Empire. Like I said, the control of the early mid game is still going to be NaVi favored until the Luna can come online and really join these fights. And the denial of Petashara and his game as a whole has really limited Empire's potential. Because what do you do when the BKBs come out and Mars is no longer this strong, right? Well, how do you ensure that you can get these initiations off? Like Lina is fine. Winter Wyvern with a Winter's Curse perhaps might be needed early. You don't really have that much catch either. NaVi at least can throw the Bushwhack and be done with it. That's fine for them. But you need to essentially use one of the big ultimates if you want to kill anything on NaVi's side.
Yeah, Lucent Beam at this stage is not going to provide enough lockdown, although with that level 10 talent taken, perhaps we can see this start to change. Vincere is going to be killed as Lina is going to run into the trees and BOTs away. Just great in a bit of space, wasting a bit of time. As eventually there's the inhibit, and Vitoon is done chasing this. Abba, down he goes. Mid lane, though, in the river, they have caught no one. He's completely alone. In fact, we TP'd 2 heroes down bottom. Felt like Empire might have been able to get the Aegis out from under him, but respecting the fact that there's a tier 1 tower there and not knowing where enemies are, they're going to choose the safe option and just continue farming.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Navi's also not pressed for time necessarily, right? They know when the Luna comes online, it'll become more difficult for them, but as long as they keep the network differential, it's fine. I do feel like you just need to play around these ultimates as much as possible, though. So now that Ravage is up, try to maybe force a tower here, see if Empire will respond, and hopefully you win this team fight with a Ravage online.
BKB at the ready now for Depressed Kid. He's just finished that one off as he regens in the fountain. Going to be pretty major for him. I believe our Luna as well is going to be building into one after she completes the Manta style. She's still got about a 400 gold to chew through to make sure she has that.
Okay. So free tier 2 essentially, as long as like I said, the ultimates are up, because there's no way that Empire wants to fight that. And now they even catch Vincere perhaps again.
DD on
do you really
no
want
one.
another Vincere? Oh, apparently you do. Oh my goodness, you have to activate Borrowed Time. Did not die. Borrowed Time, sorry. Vincere will still die to no one. That double damage is way too strong. Call down might slow down the Depressed Kid, but he's able to get away in time. Petashara staying away from those missiles. But these free kills on Vincere starting to pile on in favor of NaVi.
Yeah, this is going to be a tier 2 tower. A second one actually make that basically for free. There's 3 cores from NaVi that have peeled away and are looking to try and punish Smiley Knight for daring to split push. They might just be successful here. Ramsey's going in first. There's going to be the Gush to slow him down. Seneko now with the Demonic Purge. We're saving Disruption in case he tries to TP out. Not like we've had a chance here on the Luna, as Smiley Knight will fall to Ramsey's.
Good. 5k lead in favor of NaVi now, taking down a really important kill in Smiling Knight. And, I mean, if you're Empire, Maybe there's a bit of pressure building up now, thinking, how do we turn this around? If we have to keep sacrificing heroes to essentially make sure this goes our way, it's just going to be more and more lead going the way of NaVi. That's why I didn't feel like NaVi got pressure. And as long as the Ravage is up, NaVi is pretty free to do anything. Like take a Roshan, to go towers. I think right now it's tier 1 up top that they want to take.
Excuse me? Depressed Kid?
I heard
used his BKB to
okay.
farm creeps?
No, you gotta test it. You never sure the BKB is faulty or not.
You gotta test it. You gotta test it.
You don't play in competitive, so you don't understand this, but it's important.
It's very true. It's very true. Well, you never, you gotta make sure that the frenzy from the ancient Thunderhide doesn't affect you. So it's a viable.
Ooh, yeah,
strat.
that's scary. That's true. That's true. Very good point, actually. All right, let's see. They take the tower up top again. Free tower. Empire not even interested in fighting them whatsoever right now. They're trying to do the same and mirror them in the bottom lane, but your lack of team fight makes this a bit more difficult. So Nako actually finds Pitushara. That's your team fight. They had a Tinker Ward ready. Pitushara trying to TP away. We have a Ravage, and they're going to use it immediately. They do not want Pitushara to live here.
They did not. I mean, not that bad. We're without Aegis now for NaVi, and I think, again, Curse is still a really big problem for them. Even as these BKBs come online, they still could be, caught off guard and then just kind of chain stun. Because we don't have many stuns, as you've highlighted, for Empire, but a Curse does set all of them up for you. And that's a bit of an issue here for NaVi. So Seiyu now with the full Holy Locket is going to go into this Blink Dagger. I think when he does get Blink, he'll basically be standing on his Ancient whenever he is getting sieged, and then he'll Blink in to counter-initiate as necessary. If he gets caught by this Ravage or just, picked off by the TA, the game becomes pretty impossible now for Team Empire. That's the only thing that's really stopping NaVi from pressuring even more at this stage of the game.
I agree. You have some insane save, and honestly, Alina can be pretty crucial in these team fights. In fact, it seems like the press kit might just become your win condition at this point, because it seems stronger than Luna right now. Already going for like the physical damage build to a degree on Luna. Luna, hey, now I would say she's probably online. Maybe needs the BKB though. A bit dangerous to go without it, but you need to do something with the smoke to make sure that NaVi doesn't get out of control. And the smoke into the triangle seems like a proper technique. They scan to make sure that the high ground was safe, and they go and take over the triangle. They have a ward here. No one, though, is hiding in the trees, invisible. NaVi is probably smelling this because the lanes are pushed. No one doesn't want to be seen right now. They actually broke the sentry, which allows no one to retreat. And an Empire will just miss a smoke there.
Real quick, while we have a bit of a lull waiting for Roche to respawn, which could be as soon as in 10 seconds to a further 3 minutes, want to point out something that I always have stated before. Empire, one of the oldest orgs in Dota 2, they team tag 64. We're currently at 30 million something for team tags if you create one today. NaVi, of course, a bit older, 46. So team 46 taking on 64, both in the lower bracket here for the TI10 qualifiers. So some very historied and I think something like 112 matches between these two organizations in the past 10 years. Mostly in favor of NaVi, but of course, I don't think these particular players have ever gone against each other under these tags.
Well, I love this fact because I've heard it so many times at this point, Rich. You gotta stop casting with me so I get some fresh new facts.
Well, there you go. Now you know the NaVi fact as well. Now you know the NaVi fact as well. Roche will be up in 90 seconds, which is close to whatever the sum of these two team tags are, if you think about it, but not for too long, because of course that's actually incorrect. But in the meantime, at least Team Empire are going to be able to secure themselves another Tier 2 tower. So Nako, though, TP back early, could set up for a kill. He's pretty sneaky here with his Aether Lens, could catch you off guard from quite a distance. So Depressed Kid is going to go ahead and back away and make sure he's not caught off guard there by the Shadow Demon.
Bad score. There's the borrowed time used. Again, he's just trying to create more space for his team. But Tushar is like, should I save you? That's like, no, let me die. I am but a support. Do not concern yourselves with my life.
His death timer is so short anyway. Roche isn't even going to be up by the time he's alive. Roger, top lane, is hunting for a Lina. He's got Aether Lens, and if we just hover over this Bushwhack AoE or cast range, I think that's why you realize why this item is so frequently picked up on the hero. There goes the scurry. Acorn Shot is out. Lina actually too fast. Is going to be able to dodge not only the Sharpshooter, but most importantly, the Bushwhack and a potential kill attempt there on her life.
Yeah, I mean, they're managed to cut lanes yet again, so they're elongating this game, which I honestly don't think there's a moment where Navi just auto wins. In fact, you might even be able to stave out the TA's power spike, and there's a moment where Lina might just be stronger than her, and then you make up for the lack of the Luna. I feel like Gyrocopter probably scales much better into the late game, but Luna can hold her own in the core-to-core matchup particularly. The difficulty though is the Ravage versus Rina. Like if you go into the late game, you can hold on to the Ravage. It's so easy to use as well, and the BKBs become useless. Whereas if you're Navi, just hold on to the BKBs, wait to the arena, and then boom.
Roche is up. There's no one already starting that one up, quickly getting bashed by Roshan. Real quick, of course, and a big reason we can't discount Team Empires because they do have the teamfight tools to put together a fight, and their push, especially with Curse of Avernus, is pretty incredible with the Luna and Lina. Oh, DD run in the river. No one so quick to snipe that one up. That'll force Smiling Knight away as they bullwhip him to get even further out of harm's way. This Roshan, Spolar Crest, Deso, now the Meld Strike. He is going to be falling at a breakneck pace. Empire, they don't really know what to do. They're idling right next to the ward spot here. Actually, I believe underneath a trap. And Navi are just going to pick up that second Roche for free. No pressure applied. Shard is going to be given to the Templar Assassin on top of that Aegis. And it looks like Vitoon is going to be the one with the Fondue.
Empire is... That's the cheese. Empire is the... It's just a bit afraid right now. They don't want to engage against Navi whatsoever. They know that one misstep might also mean that they honestly lose this game and they can't come back from it.
Could be
this
here.
passivity, I think, is justified. Oh, Depressed Kid. This is definitely not the time to fight, though. Depressed Kid, if they catch him, it could be a death snow. Go. No, there's a BKB on Depressed Kid. Is there Rina to cover him as well? They want to kill Soneko for sure.
They don't know where Ramses is.
Immediately, but they see Pitushara, who also BKB TPs. So they actually end up getting a decent kill without any losses. Not bad by Empire. Guerrilla tactics at its best.
Oh, yeah. I was expecting Ramses to have a bit of a bigger impact there with the Blink Ravage, but unfortunately the BKB is coming out from Lina, BKB from Pitushara to make sure he covers his own teleport out, and that ends up being very, very successful for Empire. About the best thing they could have hoped for, short of just, you know, being able to get a miracle fight and claiming that second Roche for themselves.
Smiling Knight. Oh, there's a trap. Here's Ramses as well with the Gush. Smiling Knight. He still has the Eclipse and the BKB. The push doesn't make this difficult. First Euphonic Shield plus the Golden Brace. Not ideal, but Smiling Knight is still forced to use the BKB there. Yeah, if you're going to dispel the pushback, maybe not Golden Brace immediately, but you know, both supports really like Smiling Knight. They both want to save him, so you will die for him. Yeah, the ward got to use life. Also him being a bit advanced there.
Yeah. He was forced away there by no one, as he was almost looking to snipe the Winter Wyvern. A bit surprised we used the BKB there with Vanscore to keep him protected, of course. That's the reason why Ramses doesn't Ravage. Obviously the BKB threat, but the earlier... Oh, actually no one. Pitushara just goes on in, pins him to the tower. Down he goes. Short little silence onto Ramses as the arena's out onto 3. He's going to try and back himself away. Vanscore even getting involved as now Depressed Kid gets force-staffed right into the middle of the fight. BKB's up though. There's going to be the save. Depressed Kid at least now able to pop Ramses before he goes. They get the second life off of no one as well, but now they've got to go through Vitoon, and Smiley Knight is not ready for this smoke. Vitoon's got him dead. They've been also dispatched of the Lina earlier in this fight. It's up to the two supports now to try and turn this one around.
Oh, his own Force Staff. Okay, I think that might have been... well, actually, they're going to come back in here. You know, Winter's Curse, Vitoon's caught in it. Depressed Kid's like, I have time to redeem myself, but Pushback stops him. Yeah, Vitoon, in fact, wants to turn this around, but they realize Depressed Kid might be a bit too strong just yet. Vitoon needs to now run away. Navi will be covering his escape. There's the offensive Force Staff yet again by Depressed Kid. Yeah, so that Force Staff was actually... I don't know that was on purpose, honestly, because that set up for the Bushwhack on Depressed Kid. That made it difficult for him to actually hit outside the arena and take advantage of those walls. It put him in a vulnerable position. Yeah, I don't know what that was.
No, you're right.
That was a bit odd.
You're right. He's the only one with the Force Staff. I mean, obviously, it's a Hurricane Pike, but same thing, same difference.
Same thing. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, to be honest. What he thought, like maybe he thought we're in full offensive potential, but it seems like you actually caught Navi in a great arena. You now forced them into like a trio of weak heroes that couldn't hit through the walls, and you could just keep hitting them until they passed through the walls. And if they did, they were out of position. But you putting yourself there, it felt like that nullified all the effect of Petushara's great arena initiation.
Nope. You're absolutely correct. I mean, yeah. I mean, just to highlight Petushara there again, finding that great pickoff onto no one. Absolutely, is they're going to find the squirrel now. A bit of a tough catch here. They can't commit arena, and they just might decide to. They have, they're rotating a couple of supports over, but Roger is doing his best here to create some space. Space created. He is going to still fall at the end of the day. Decent chunk of change as well, given on over to Vanscore. Yeah, that's why I thought someone forced him in, because I didn't really see the reason for it either. Oh, Seiyu! He's got to use the Winter's Curse just to be able to save himself. Sets up for the stun. Lina now looking to try and pump a damage onto no one, but he's going to pop his own BKB, and men fight him right on back. Down goes Lina. That's a dieback as well here. Petushara with the arena is not going to come in time. Vitoon pops the BKB and will follow him through the walls as Petushara at least is able to TP out. The tip onto the press kit now from Ramses as Vanscore popping the ultimate with a little bit of HP left is going to be killed with the side blade spill being that pure damage. Down he goes. Most importantly, that dieback on Lina is going to prove to be so punishing for Team Empire.
This might be the point of no return now. With a 12k lead, NaVi having to use the Ravage for a really valuable kill on the Lina. Gyrocopter now beating the Luna considerably when it comes to net worth. You have a TI super farmed as well. And not considerably, actually, only a little bit. But enough. And the TA, of course, with the lead that's going to destroy them. You can now take maybe one lane of Rax perhaps before you back and then wait for the next Roshan. But it is looking a bit scary for Empire.
Yep.
Those two
I really like the call from no one there. He just, bucks up right to the Lina, despite, really just 1/8 HP or something like that, quite low. Was confident in the refraction and BKB to carry him through the engagements. You said earlier maybe at some stage we get to this period where the Lina's a bit too scary. It seems like we're not there yet, and with no one still not yet at level 25, I hesitate to think we're going to get there this game for Empire.
It was also the Purge. The Purge was a major deal there, Demonic Purge, because they actually nullified 2 Aphotic shields that were used to that in that period. Immediately exploded because, of course, they purge them off, right? And so you didn't really get all the damage mitigation. I don't think you would have won that either without it, but it was a major factor why the Lina felt so squishy. I thought she... what the press kit I'm imagining was thinking was, I can last long enough and keep stunning and, just kind of drive him away because I can always just play around with my Fire and Soul movement speed until Luna can come by. I just need to keep him in check. But with Demonic Purge, you couldn't run away at all, and you also couldn't be saved by the Aphotic Shields. So it nullified a lot of the options that Empire had that fight. That was really on point. I mean, it's just clicking on the Lina, right? But acknowledging the strength of it was very important.
Yes. No, I mean, you're right. I like the way you said it first, though. Clicking on the Lina makes it seem like all Seneko did was smash a button on the keyboard, which I think doesn't give him enough credit for that. As you say, Depressed Kid, though, dodging at least the bushwhack, but there's going to be the stun onto Vitoon, the force half away, out from no one. The Ravage, though, catches 4, and they're immediately able to snipe Seiyu. He's got buyback, but no way instantly into the fight. Eclipse is out, but BKBs are up here for NaVi. Smiling Knight falling low as they get through Vanscore with no problem. Smiling Knight still trying to buck up and fight through this, but will not have a chance versus no one. Laguna Blade, still not enough damage as there is going to be the disruption, saving the squirrel from the Winter's Curse. Vitoon still alive through all this, and NaVi now on the chase looking to end the game.
NaVi tried to get the final kill on the Press Kid, forced the Yule Scepter. There's no follow-up there, so the Press Kid at least won't die. But he did force a bunch of buybacks here. In fact, if I was NaVi, just back out, you wait for the Roshan, because you know they're going to have to, you can force a fight after you get the Aegis, and then the buybacks will still be up, right? You don't need to force the buyback on the Luna necessarily. Let me take over the Triangle, take over the last tier 2. That secures your Roshan completely, and force a really dangerous fight for Empire for the last fight in the game. That should settle it for you. Now you're leading considerably. Lina might get strong enough by then with the MKB, but I doubt it. It seems like no one is farming ridiculously faster, especially with all the map control that they have.
Yeah, and he's about to hit this +8 refraction instances, which I would say is going to be the choice here for no one. I think that just about seals this game for you. The meld hit bash is pretty nice, but I think based off of that fight, I think we could see that they don't really need that bash right now to set up for the kills, as they've got more than enough nuke damage to just absolutely burst through these heroes if they can get on top of them. And with a Ravage like that, ooh boy, did Ramses get in there real nice with that Ravage. Yep.
It's tough because, like, you need to get the perfect save now, and your execution becomes, like, your execution is so difficult for Empire this whole game. And we'll talk about this a bit more in the post-game, though, as Ramses, he fires Petushara and says, yeah, fight me, bro. What, you think you can beat me? Demonic Purge, Petushara is forced to BKB TP. For a Mars, 6 seconds is fine, but you still lost an important resource. You'll Scepter to stop the tide. At least you prevented Ramses from gushing you. V2's still chasing after Sayu. Overall, as long as they keep control over this area of the map, though, this is the Roshan area. So I don't think Navi is too concerned with the kills. I mean,
and they're super scared. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say they're super scared of getting caught by just one flak cannon affected by Eye of Scotty. That's death right now for a Wyvern, for Lina, and a death onto either of these heroes now without buyback means the game.
It's tough. If you're Empire, you're thinking, I mean, we need to do something, but if we're played too risky, we just lose the game. And obviously, let's take advantage of this cowardice from them. They know they can't fight, so let's just go for them. Petushar is the target here. They use a Ravage in the backlines to disturb Sayu, and that's Sayu dead. Petushar is probably going to die soon as well as soon as the Cold Embrace ends. As maybe 2 kills for Navi. Going for a third one. Thanks to the Bushwhack, they might be able to catch up to Smiling Knight past the BKB and Eclipse. Now the TP immediately. V2, does he have enough damage? With the help of no one, not going to be sufficient.
Got him.
Oh, never mind. He actually died to the Purge. Oh, wow. He died to the Purge there from Soneko. And now, if I've ever seen a free tower here, this is it. The press kit needs to defend this, but Navi seems unconcerned. The press kit's efforts.
Yeah, that was really scary for Smiling. Luckily, he's going to be the last hero on his team with buyback here. As look at the press kit go. He force-taps himself yet again to try and set up for the stun. Unfortunately, I believe they only caught an illusion, so they're going to be away safe and sound. Yeah, that was real bad for Smiling Knight. He thought he was in the fountain, and then he heard yellow, everyone. This is Purge, and then he died. It's not the way you want to go out.
Yeah.
Burst damage on the Demonic Purge, of course, very useful because it is going to persist even if you try and BKB that one off. Big issue here, as now third Roshan is alive. Ramses, though, just going to go right back on into Smiling Knight. He's disarmed, now needs to run. Doesn't have BKB for 10 seconds. No one right on top of him, though, looking for the damage. The press kit at least almost chunking through Ramses, but they've already lost Smiling Knight. That's a dieback on him. Vanscore's up next. Pops the borrowed time, but he is completely controlled by the gyrocopter. The press kit looking to run, but they've just won a fight here. There's still the ward. They haven't even had the chance to deward it, and now there goes the press kit, dead for another minute and a half as the Avo will be finished off by No.
GG called by Empire. They're done with game number 1. But, you know, in true Empire fashion, if you lose game number 1, next 2 games are looking pretty good for them. They'd like to lose the game of the series to empower them for the next 2. Let's see if this is the case against Navi as well. That said, impressive performance by Navi for the most part. Really, really good games by them. I thought that they were such a good team at just putting Empire in a desperate position. They realized the moment, like they smelled fear and they just went for it. And it seemed so difficult for Empire to take a moment and recover and do the right plays when they were just so afraid of Navi's initiation and they weren't given a moment to think. So congratulations for Navi. Really, really good game 1 for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Good warding, good movements, and good fights is going to take Navi up to a 1-0 lead here in the lower bracket of the TI10 qualifiers. When we're back, we'll be joined by Daniel Offen to break down Game 1 just a little bit more.